When it comes to music React channels, they get hit hardest more than any other React channels out there simply because copyright is a bitch.
Right. Now you may look at it and go, well, hang on, what I'm doing is fair use. I have legal grounds. I have the right to appeal this.
Corporations, they have this thing where they call it, bleeding you dry, where they will constantly be putting in, addendums. They'll constantly be doing hearings. They will do everything they can to make you spend as much money as possible before ever even getting to a trial. What is going on, everybody? It is Kmplxity with a lasting opinion. I wanted to check out this video by Knox Hill. Knox Hill is actually one of my more favorite quote unquote YouTube rappers. I actually heard his music prior to ever finding out that he started on YouTube. Well, technically started underground and then made it to YouTube. But with all of the H3 lawsuit stuff going on, it's very easy to think that this is just an isolated incident. But when it comes to music React channels, they get hit hardest more than any other React channels out there simply because copyright is a bitch. Now, Knox Hill is probably one of the better people who do reactions. He doesn't just react to videos or music. He actually ends up breaking them down, talking about the bars, explaining it and everything like that. So with everything that's happening with the H3, I figured I would want to go ahead and just take a quick look at this and go over some of the craziness that's going on with UMG. And a big portion of this is potentially due to Drake. If you guys don't know about the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, Drake is suing Kendrick Lamar, trying to basically get him for defamation, trying to go after the UMG, which is a label that they're both under. And it's it's possible that UMG is doing this massive strike and trying to have a monopoly on music React channels in an effort to go ahead and pander to Drake. But who knows? That could just be tinfoil hat theory. But anyways, let's get right into this, guys.
Look, I was going to wait until all these strikes hit to make a video on it, but unfortunately and fortunately, I'm going to be playing my first sold out show of the summer.
Hell yeah.
Brighton. Looking forward to that. And during a time when I should be preparing, when I should be looking ahead, unfortunately, we've got all this to deal with. And it looks...
Now, if you guys don't know, that a strike is detrimental to a channel in a way that is basically, it is the 3 strikes you're out rule. A strike could, take away sponsors. A strike could take away monetization. A strike could take away the algorithm pushing your videos. Like, there's a lot of issues that come out with being struck, and it's very, very difficult. As of right now, UMG has practically opened the floodgates with strikes and has sent them out and is attacking. There are some creators who are getting up to 20 different copyright claims on videos that they have where they've reacted to artists under the UMG's label. There's one reactor who even is encountering 7 separate strikes on his channel right now. And unfortunately, he actually had to file a counterclaim to these strikes just to be able to hopefully keep his channel up right now.
Looks like this is a situation that's not only affecting me, but affecting many other reaction channels out there. So you get this video in the hopes that it can create more awareness on this, that it can get some more coverage. And who knows, maybe there's a 1 in a million chance that someone at UMG watches this and has a change of heart, although I highly doubt it. So before we dive into this situation,
I mean, UMG is a massive corporation, and corporations, as we know, is all about their bread. We don't know exactly what's going to end up happening. I know this is on a side of the internet in which we don't really cover. We don't really do music reacts here, but I love my music react channels. So I wanted to just touch on this because it's parallel to current events.
Let's do a quick crash course into how the YouTube copyright system works. I make a video breaking down an artist's song, I upload and publish it. Well, then the label, aka UMG, looks at it and goes, hey, you use our artist's song. And they'll deliver a copyright claim on that video. Or in more recent cases, they'll deliver a takedown notice and a copyright strike. Now, you may look at it and go, well, hang on, what I'm doing is fair use. I have legal grounds. I have the right to appeal this.
But the thing is, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because like we reacted with Legal Mindset, fair use could be seen on one way with a judge, and fair use can be seen a separate way. So, it's taking a 3-minute song and doing 3 hours worth of reaction and breaking every single thing down. One judge can look at that and say that is fair use. Another judge can look at that and say that's not fair use. A lot of people don't understand, there's a difference again, there's a difference of interpretation of the law, which I covered in our legal mindset video. And for those of you who didn't see it or may have forgotten, real quick recap: there's as is and as written. As written means that the judge typically will go ahead and say the legal statute of the law and only go through that. Whereas in as interpreted is they'll take the law that was written, in the 19 whatever, and they'll take it, but they'll apply it to the century in which that they're in, right? So what could have been constituted as fair use back then isn't always going to be what's constituted as fair use now, etc., etc. Same as self-defense, same as stand your ground. There's just so many different interpretations when it comes to what is and isn't evidence and what is and isn't allowed. And once something hits the court, it is up in the air. You might feel, you could have all the evidence in the world, but it all depends on what those 12 people, decide.
You go through the appeal process. But that's where YouTube fails its content creators. Because once you fill out the form, once you send that appeal, it's not YouTube who decides your case.
Yep.
It's not YouTube who reviews your claim. It's not even a third-party agency who looks at it legally, who looks at it and can weigh in from a non-biased perspective. No, your claim and your appeal goes directly to the person or the agency or business who made the claim against you. Now, I don't think it takes a quantum physicist to connect the parallels here, but what do you think is going to happen when you appeal a claim and the person who originated that claim against you gets the chance to be the judge and decide on it? Are they out of nowhere just going to magically change their minds and remove the claim against you? Probably not. I mean, at the end of the day, they're the ones who originated the process in the first place. And this happens not only with music. This happens with movies. This happens with film. This happens with sports. This happens across all genres of music.
And this is one of the reasons why, and it even happens, obviously, he's on a separate side of React, but it even happens to reactors like myself or Chudlogic, Diorio, Ethan Klein, hell, even like Lolcow Live, because they react to things as well. And this is one of the reasons why, if you're not basically a multimillionaire, it is incredibly difficult to fight off a copyright claim. And because corporations, they have this thing where they call it, bleeding you dry, where they will constantly be putting in, addendums. They'll constantly be doing hearings. They will do everything they can to make you spend as much money as possible before ever even getting to a trial. Because what they like to do, what a corporation loves to do, is not go to trial. And the reason for it is because they know, the same way as the layman knows, that once you get into a trial, all bets are off. They are putting multi-million-dollar trial lawsuits in the hands of 12 everyday people. And generally, well, I'm not going to say generally, but there's a good portion of people who hate the man, who hate corporation, who hate conglomerates, who hate monopolies, and will, even if they're in the right, they'll vote against them simply because, fuck them. I'm just being honest. And, there's prejudice in all aspects of life, but it's the same thing as like what happened with Chudlogic and Dark Viper. Dark Viper, threw a copyright claim, and Chudlogic didn't have the money to fight it. And even if he did have the money to fight it, you're very rarely ever going to make more than what you spent during the legal proceedings. So it's even not really worth it, because it's like, unless you made, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on that video, it's better to just cut your losses and just remove the video, private it, unlist it in some way, shape, or form, delete it, whatever it may be, because it is a no wins game. It's a all sums loss. Like, there's no reason to really do it unless, you're like Ethan Klein back in the day, where he wanted to set a precedence, or right now, with him filing those lawsuits, but now he's on the opposite end of it, right? So it's just one of those things where you cut your losses and you say whatever, just, or you can also have it to where you let the copyright go through. There's this thing where it splits the revenue and you just say screw it, it is whatever it is. You lose monetization, or you can be monetized, but whatever money you end up making on that video is split between you and the content holder, well, the copyright holder.
The way that the copyright system is automated and set up, it definitely doesn't favor the content creators who are the backbone of how YouTube started in the first place. And for me, that's a shame, because that's the appeal of YouTube. You know, anybody with an idea, anybody with a dream can publish a video. And there's always sort of that entrepreneurial content creation spirit that was so appealing about YouTube, that many people flocked to. And it was individual content creators who really helped to uplift this platform in its early years and help it take off.
And it's also content creators helping other content creators, you know, like we've even said back in the day. And we, if you were here since the time when we were called the After Show, you know, we had Keemstar on and we were talking to him. And I even, you know, this is paraphrasing, but I even told him, I was like, you know, I'm grateful because you could easily have copyright struck us. You could easily have destroyed our channel. You could easily have taken us down. You could easily have never have allowed the After Show to have grown in popularity and then turn into The Lasting Opinion. And, you know, his response was like, that's not what I'm about. That's not what I want. I want, you know, the freedom of ideas and for people to grow. And also, it's not like we were just ripping lolcow episodes. You know, we turned 20-minute segments into hour, 20 hour, 30 hour, 40 videos, or 5-minute segments into, you know, 45 minutes. But regardless, and it's also one of the reasons why, like, personally for me, as long as somebody is the same as like Ethan, as long as somebody is making a good faith effort to try and make something or do something, even if it's in a negative light, it's one of those reasons why it's just not going to be something that I would want to copyright somebody else with. Because even if they're a small channel, right, and they're just hating 24/7, doing logging and stuff like that, it is still transformative in a way, even if it's negative towards us. And there's just, you don't want to quell the reaction community. Reactors are the absolute backbone of what made, you know, reactors and commentators made YouTube, right? The Hutches of the world, the Wings of Redemption, the Keemstars, the scene anners, like these guys who made their own videos, and then other people were like big top reactors. Even in the music industry or music area, you have like No Life Shaq, Screwface Jean, you have Knox Hill, you have Crypt, you know, you have all of these people who create a community of ideas, and anyone can pick up a microphone and get some recording software and become the next Mr. Beast. You know, you just never know. It's a community, even though we are all separated by our own genres.
I'm not the only one who's made videos on the broken content ID system, on the broken copyright claim system. There are many videos out there. It's very easy to do a search on it. And it's just a shame because it really feels like, especially in recent years, you know, caring for its individual creators has been pushed aside by YouTube. It's more about automated systems. It's more about favoring the bigger businesses and telling us to wait outside while some of these multinationals, some of these big labels, some of these huge entities,
it's always like that.
They're the ones who get to negotiate their own deals behind closed doors. So where does that leave this channel? Well, I've been wading these waters for years.
And it's also one of the reasons why Twitch doesn't really do anything to content creators such as like Hassan, Frogan, Denims, you know, people, people who, you know, congregate harassment and do all of this stuff, put out false narrative and propaganda. It's a reason why none of them even got bans until massive outpouring and backlash happened. They had that little mini adpocalypse where they decided to go ahead and ban them for a day and stuff like that. It's a reason why they don't really care until advertisers decide to start pulling out, which is what created the adpocalypse on YouTube and why they changed their community guidelines, why they said like you can't say certain things within the first 30 seconds of your video, why certain words are, you know, 100% demonetizable, and the automated system searches for those words in your video. And if you're a content creator, or if you don't know this, they do system, you know, they do checks, they do copyright checks, and then they also do their own checks for monetization. And depending on what genre you're in, which, you know, being a commentator is one of the least profitable areas on YouTube. I'm not for the RPS or for the RPM. It is one of the least profitable because you have major areas like tech or like IRL streaming, stuff like that, or you have gaming is kind of mid-tier ish for the RPM. But when it comes to being a commentator, when it comes to being a reactor, unless you're really big, you're not making a whole lot. You know, you could be about a 50,000 sub channel, and even if you're getting, you know, a couple of tens of thousands of views a month, you're generally making anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000, minusing, you know, super chats and stuff like that. It really depends on your output, and there's a whole algorithm to it. But at the end of the day, it is something to where giant corporations such as Twitch and YouTube rarely will make massive changes unless advertisers start making a fuss, because their bottom line is what is going to cause them to change something.
I've been in constant threat of dealing with claims, of dealing with strikes, of possibly having my channel removed, and I've managed to navigate these very shaky waters, but I've managed to, you know, find a way to survive and to keep the channel floating. That is until recently. Now, I've warned of this as one of the possible repercussions of the Drake and Kendrick lawsuit. And the fact that reactors were being named in the lawsuit, the fact that the whitelisting and allowing reactors to monetize a music release was being used as evidence in court, and what it could possibly lead to in terms of the labels just really cracking down on reaction channels, on breakdown channels. And
so if you don't know what he's talking about, I'm going to give you a very brief understanding. Drake filed a lawsuit against Kendrick Lamar against a couple of his songs that came out. He also tried blocking the Not Like Us record that was coming out, and he named people like No Life Shaq. He named Kai Cenat. He named a couple of different reactors who he claimed were perpetuating false narratives and derogatory information against him, and were causing harassment against him. He was saying things like he didn't feel safe because of these reactors and that they were defaming him. If you don't know, Kendrick Lamar, when he came out, you know, he alluded to Drake being a pedophile, which we all know. Let's be realistic. No man should be talking to a fucking 16-year-old about sex and, you know, all that shit, especially when they're like in their 30s. And then you obviously have DJ Akadidi, who, you know, had that whole issue with the 15-year-old who's in Drake's camp. And as they say, birds of a feather flock together. But he was naming these reactors as defamatory, as perpetuating hate, perpetuating lies, and that he didn't feel safe because of this and all that. And when you start putting a genre of YouTube in lawsuits, it's going to cause ripple effects that could end up destroying certain areas. A lot of people are out here talking about how H3's lawsuit could cause issues with reactor channels. This one here is literally Drake, the superstar multimillionaire, lives in freaking Beverly Hills mansion. Drake claiming that reactors such as Kai Cenat caused him to be in fear of his life. Okay, that is having a much more chilling, rippling effect throughout the entirety of the reactor ecosystem than H3's targeted lawsuit against malicious market infringement, malicious market substitute. This is UMG casting a massive net all over and not even caring about what may or may not be constituted as fair use, and simply saying, you're using our copyrighted music, go fuck yourself. Like they are basically trying to circle the wagons and making it to where in the future, if this passes, if this happens, if they become a monopoly on this, you may not see reactor music reaction channels anymore on YouTube. It will no longer be profitable. It will no longer be viable for these channels to provide entertainment and help people to understand music more, or to just, you know, be themselves. and enjoy being a reactor to music, which if you love music the way I love music, having sharing it with other people who also love it and breaking it down and getting into the nitty-gritty of what certain things mean, you might not see that anymore in the near future. We're not talking, 50 years from now. We're talking within the next decade, possibly. You could see music reactor channels become extinct on YouTube due to this lawsuit.
Unfortunately, in recent weeks, I've noticed that UMG has become just incredibly aggressive with its copyright system. Normally, it was a claiming system. Now they're really starting to abuse and to use copyright strikes and take down notices as a weapon to just mute out creators. I've honestly never seen such a shift in tactics from them, and unfortunately, my channel is one of those in the firing line. This Friday, I have 3 copyright strikes that are due to hit my channel.
Now, like I said, this is a 3-strike rule, which means his channel could be gone. And if his channel is deleted due to copyright strike, it could result in it is gone. Like, he can't make another channel. His channel ban, his channel deletion. If he makes another channel on YouTube and tries to do this again, he'll be hit with probably a lifetime ban, an eternal ban, due to the fact that it would be seen as it'll be seen as him trying to get around the ban or get around the strikes. This is just one of those things that a channel, a person generally cannot come back from.
Now, these aren't claims. These are actual takedown notices and strikes that are due to be served on my channel this Friday from Universal Music Group. And last week I made a post about getting a copyright strike from Empire, which means that on Friday, it's kind of just a huge day.
And so you can even see down here where it says you received a copyright strike. You now have 1 copyright strike. If you get multiple copyright strikes, 3 typically, we'll have to terminate your channel to prevent that from happening. Please don't upload videos containing copyright content that you aren't allowed to use. Now, this means that this, and to give you a perspective, Knox Hill has 1.85 million subscribers on YouTube. A 1 million subscriber channel could end up being struck and taken down off of YouTube simply because UMG has overcorrected due to this lawsuit that has been filed. This right here is the chilling of reactors. This isn't freaking, the H3 isn't the chilling of reactors. Now, if he loses, H3 I'm speaking on, if he loses in court, that could end up being a massive issue for reactor channels, for the people who actually react properly. Because if he loses in court, that means that chair reacts and practically re-uploading a person's entire video with having little to zero transformative content in it is legally seen, and it can be it could be a precedence, which means in the future, if somebody was to try and copyright strike somebody for engaging in open market substitute, there would be a precedent set already of 3 separate people who were taken to court over this and found to not have been guilty of this. It opens the floodgate to have more lazier people who just want to water down what it means to be a reaction channel, what it means to be a commentator, what it means to, be part of the ecosystem that is YouTube. And that is what people should be worried about, not the fact that Ethan is going to chill the commentary or the reactor channels.
Day on this channel, and a very impactful day, because I will be over YouTube's 3-strike limit. Now back to the YouTube copyright system. They operate a 3-strike and you're out rule. So if you get 3 or more strikes, that's it. Your channel can get permanently banned and removed from YouTube. You can't make any alternate accounts. You're done. That is the coup de grace for content creators. The other scary thing is that while you're undergoing this process of review and hopefully trying to appeal it, they can freeze your channel so that you can't upload any videos, which means I can't generate revenue, which means I can't earn a living because I am literally being frozen out from creating content on this account, which from my perspective is absolutely insane. Now I get it. Reaction channels have always operated in a gray area when it comes to fair use and copyright. But I've spoken with multiple lawyers about this, and if there's one channel that very solidly fits into the criteria of transformative content, of operating within fair use, it's this one. When we take
And I have to agree. And it's not just because I like Knox Hill and I like his music, but if you go and watch any video of his, if you enjoy music breakdowns, I highly recommend Knox Hill. But he will literally go, you know, bar for bar, word for word, breaking down. He makes fantastic music breakdown videos and stuff of that nature, which is one of the reasons I watch him, which is one of the reasons I enjoy him, enjoy his videos and his content. But there are people who just, they don't have the means to fight this off. And you might think, well, he's a 1 million subscriber YouTube channel. Shouldn't he have the money to be able to do it? Well, he also has a family, a kid, a mortgage. He's also a musician. He's got a lot of stuff that he needs to do. And again, remember, companies love to bleed people dry. They love to do everything they can to make you tap out before they ever make it to trial. Because once it's at trial, it's all bets are off. You got 12 people who probably have no idea what copyright actually is, making a multi-million-dollar decision. And I do say multi-million because if the precedence is set negatively, it could cause, like I've said, a ripple effect and take away a massive amount of revenue from not only from YouTube. It takes away a massive amount of revenue from people, from reactors, creators, and quells this portion. And how long before it goes from just, you know, being music reactors to just general reactors, right? Reactors like myself or H3, Lolcow, Diorio, Chud, Tommy C, etc., etc.
Take a 3-minute song and we transform it into a 25-minute video talking about things such as production, lyricism, wordplay, rhyme schemes, you know, even commenting on the visual themes, commenting on overall concepts, on symbolism, you know, the deep dives that this channel is known for. I mean, I say that this is a reaction channel, but in reality, this is a breakdown channel. You know, I strive to make educational content. I do these deep dives and these analysis to try to get people to just appreciate the music, the art of making the music, the techniques that are used, and what goes into it further. And all you have to do is go into the comment section of one of my videos to see how I help people appreciate the music or that artist further. I mean, through these very videos, I've created new fans for that artist. And this is one thing.
And that's what I'm saying. When you have a passion for something, when you wholeheartedly throw yourself into something, it is a whole other level of being let down when you feel like the platform in which you care about and that you love and that you like to be a part of that ecosystem just doesn't have your back in the way you would like for it to. Now, you can turn around and say, well, you knew the risk. And it's like, yes, of course you know the risk, but you also know the risks of going out and driving every single day. Still doesn't make it any easier if you end up in a car crash, right? You know the risks of eating at McDonald's. Still doesn't make it any easier if you end up with clogged arteries. Now, of course, that's you eating 24/7. Like, let's not be real here. You know, let's not be, but at the end of the day, this is something you have a passion for. This is obviously, as a musician, he has a different level of love and creation, love for the craft and for the creation of music. It is very, very difficult for people to just take it on the chin like that, you know? And it's, in my personal opinion, completely and utterly unfair for people to, in any way, shape, or form, try and quell that, or to utilize these multi-billion-dollar companies and just swing their money around like it was a damn hammer. Because when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail to you. It is unequivocally just silencing a person. And do they have every legal right to do so? Personally, I disagree, because again, you know, transformative content and being transformative can be interpreted in so many different ways.
One thing I've never understood, you know, even Harry Mack once called us the modern era DJs, because we help to put people onto new artists. We help people to find new music to listen to. I mean, surely there's a symbiosis to be had between labels and reaction channels.
And to touch on that real quick, there are some artists who blew up and become famous because of reaction channels. If you're a label and you're trying to push a new artist, you want as many eyes on it as possible. And when you have thousands and thousands of YouTube channels generating millions, if not billions of views on your new artist, getting their product out there, getting their work out there, getting your name out there, your label, creating and generating money and revenue, and sometimes, you know, as they say, right, some people get paid in clout, and it's no different here. These people are, you know, they go from selling mixtapes out their trunk to streaming, to becoming streamers themselves, to you know, paid requests, like Anthony Fantano, I believe, does paid requests, to, you know, have people submit songs to react, to review, and people blow up. People get huge on it. You know, it's one of the reasons why, you know, like I'm Dante and XXXTentacion had such an amazing relationship, because they became friends through I'm Dante reacting to his channel or reacting to his music. He even got a shout out, I'm Dante, and even got a shout out in XXXTentacion's music. I mean, or he has it as a soundbite, etc., etc. People get put on by reactors. They spread the message, they spread the awareness of this up and coming artist, and they end up blowing up. A great example of it would be Mexican OT, you know, or Sexy Red. Like, let's just be realistic. You know, there's big, massively named artists that would not be around today if the reaction channels had not played their music and introduced them to a fan base that never knew about them.
Where we both can win, where we both can gain. You know, labels put out their artists and we help to promote their artists. We actually help to drive more traffic, more engagement, more appreciation to their artists and to their releases. But unfortunately, short-sighted greed is taking precedent in this situation. And, you know, it's a shame to see, because I really feel like there's a long-term gain here. And this is a situation, I'm talking about me and my perspective, but it doesn't just impact me. You know, this has an effect, this has an impact on all reaction channels out there. You know, if someone who really makes this transformative content and does these deep dives and analysis is getting targeted, right, is getting put in the firing line. I mean, just the impact of that across the industry, across this community of reactors, of breakdown channels that we have built. Like, it is going to continue to have huge impacts and huge implications.
And that's exactly what I was saying. It will cause a massive ripple effect throughout all of YouTube, you know. It is something that isn't going to just stay in the music react genre. It is something that could potentially bleed into so many different areas, especially the regular commentary genre, the regular react channel genre, like myself, like others. You know, it is an incredibly unfortunate situation that's going on. You know, I hope the best to Nox. I hope the best to every reactor channel that is getting hit with these copyright strikes right now, because they're completely just blowing past copyright, you know, a copyright claim and going straight to strikes, which eventually they could be taking down multi-million subscriber channels, multiple million subscriber channels as well. Even if you're just a couple 100,000, even if you're one subscriber channel, they could be destroying this incredibly fantastic symbiotic relationship where they get paid, you get paid, and your artist gets paid. Your artist becomes famous. Obviously, the more fame or infamy that an artist obtains, the more money that the label is going to make. But that's going to be it for this video, you guys. I'm going to leave the video in the description below. Go ahead and watch the rest of the video. Highly recommend Nox Hill and other, you know, reactors if you enjoy music breakdowns, if you enjoy somebody who truly understands the craft and breaks down the craft in a way that is easier for you to understand. Check out Nox Hill. I also would recommend checking out other creators such as Crip or Screwfagine or No Life Shack, you know, those other creators of that nature. Like, check them all out, guys. Video will be in the description below. Check them out, give them a like, show some support, subscribe if you like it. I will catch you all in the next one.
Chaos brews inside.